Every homemaker should know how to bake biscuits. They're a great way to stretch a meal, and you can certainly fill up some hungry bellies with biscuits. Biscuits and gravy or biscuits and jam for breakfast. Biscuits on the side with soups, stews, and chilies, or biscuits lathered in butter with dinner. Regardless of when you choose to have them, they're quick and easy to make. Now these biscuits are made with just 2 ingredients, and everybody's got a 2-ingredient biscuit recipe, and the star of the show is your self-rising flour because it's got whatever agents in it that you need to get the biscuits to rise. You don't have to add anything else. So it's got the salt and everything in there that is needed for the most part. And then you need some heavy cream. Now you can use milk if you don't have heavy cream, but the heavy cream just does add a little bit extra to your biscuit mix. So I'm going to add 2 cups. Of the self-rising flour, and then I'm going to add 2 cups of the heavy cream. Now I'm going to flour my hands just a little bit. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit on top of that too, because it's pretty moist. So of course you're doing this with clean hands. So I've given my hands a good washing. And I'm going to scrape all of this out of the bowl. That could be half a biscuit. Now just a little bit of flour on my board. And now I'm just going to just kind of knead this just a little bit. I'm just kind of rolling it over onto itself. And the dough is nice and elastic. And how much do you do this? Well, it all depends on how it feels. But it feels nice and loose. It's holding together very nicely. So probably 10, 15 times ought to be good. And now that it feels so good, I'm going to form a nice little ball. And then we're going to roll it out. So before I get that rolled out, I'm going to get my pan ready. I'm going to use this black skillet that I've got. That's what my grandma always did. She always used a black skillet, cast iron skillet. So I'm going to use this skillet and I'm going to butter it. So I'm going to butter the skillet really well. And that just adds another layer of flavor. And then I've got this old rolling pin. So I'm going to flour my rolling pin. I'll get my dough back over here in front of me. And I'll just that towel under there just helps to keep the board from rolling away. And notice I'm just rolling all around, just different directions to get it to a nice little circle. And I want to get it to be about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. I don't like my biscuits to be too thin. I like them nice and thick. And I've got a double-sided biscuit cutter. It's Tupperware. I've had it forever. But you can buy other biscuit cutters on Amazon. I'll link a couple in the description box. And if you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can use a glass. Let me just get one out. Let's say you don't have a biscuit cutter, but you can use a glass or something like that. And I'll just show you how that works. And there you go. And I'm cutting them as close together as I can because I don't want to have to roll them out too much. The more you have to roll them out and deal with them, the tougher the flour or the dough gets. That makes them a little bit tough. So you don't want to have to deal with them too much. So now, I'm going to knead it again, and this dough just feels amazing. It's nice and moist, but it's not too wet or too damp. So for you young homemakers out there, my young housewives and my young housemen, you need to make sure you've got a rolling pin and then a board that you can roll things out on, or you can always use your counter. My kitchen counter has all these little nubbies in it, so I have to really scrub it when I roll things out in it. So I prefer to use a board. Going to have to get another pan out to finish these up. So I've got 6 here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I've got about a dozen in here and then 6 here. So let me get out a cake pan to put those in. So we're going to give this pan a good buttering. Now let's get these in the oven. I've got the oven set for 400. So there we go. Middle rack. And in case you're wondering what that is at the bottom of my oven, it is my oven liner. So now I'm going to bake those in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. There is a recipe here on the back of the flour bag, and you can find all different kinds of recipes, and some will say to bake them at 400, some will say to bake them at 450. My oven tends to run a little hot, and I have been known to burn up a biscuit. So I tend to set the oven just a little bit lower and keep a close eye on them so that I don't burn them up. So I'll get this cleaned up while we're waiting for those to come out. You might have noticed I switched my aprons, and I like to do that. I've got a lot of them, and I like to wear different ones. And I really like to wear this one when I'm baking. I don't know why. I just feel like I'm close to my grandma when I'm wearing this apron when I'm baking, because she always had aprons that were kind of similar to this particular style. So the timer just went off, so let's check them. These certainly look like they're ready to come out. These are a little bigger. I don't think they're quite ready yet, so I'm going to give it another minute and a half for those. These smaller ones, though, are definitely done. Look how nicely brown they are. So let's brush their tops with a little butter. This looks like a misfit biscuit. Look at there. Let's break this one open. Oh my. The crumb in there looks amazing. And I don't think there's any better way to eat biscuits than to have a little bit of strawberry jam on the top. Delicious. Want to get a peek at the bottom. Yep. Here's that other batch. Look how nice and thick they are. And I didn't burn them up. Let's just do this the right way. I'm going to put this in the microwave. We'll do things the right way. We'll just brush that butter on. I don't want to teach you guys bad habits. Okay. So now I've got some melted butter. And I'll just brush that along the top. Okay, now let's break open one of the bigger ones. For some reason, this one is calling my name. Oh, look at there. Piping hot. Look at the crumb on it. We'll put a little butter on the inside. Oh, let me give it a taste without the jam. It's delicious, absolutely delicious without the jam. But if you got jam, why eat biscuits without jam? Delicious. So I've got our dinner ready. And I did make the chicken rice jollof. So I'll go ahead and feed the hubby. But I wanted to show my homemakers, particularly my young homemakers, one more thing. Well, two more things. I wanted to show you, number one, how I care for my cutting board. So after I've washed it and then I've let it dry for a little bit, I'll just put a little bit of cooking oil on it. And it doesn't matter what kind of cooking oil you use, canola oil, olive oil, whatever kind of cooking oil you use to cook with. I put a little bit on there and then I just spread it all over the board and just rub it in. And this is not an expensive cutting board by any means. It's just one that I picked up at Target. And you can certainly pick one up at Target, Walmart, Amazon, wherever. But it is the best cutting board that I have. And I want to take care of it. And for some of those other like really fancy dancy ones that the fancy chefs have, well, they care for theirs by oiling it down with a little bit of vegetable oil to kind of keep it nice. So I figured if it's good enough for their fancy dancy cutting board, then it's good enough for my relatively inexpensive. And I'll probably do this about once a month. I don't do it every time I use it, but about once a month I'll just do this to kind of keep it nice. And then I'll let it sit out, like I'll just sit it up against the wall or somewhere like that. I'll let it sit out for maybe a day or so just to make sure all the oil is dry, and then I'll put it away. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you was, again, just a few things that I want to make sure you have on hand. So you need to have a series of mixing bowls, or shall I say a set of mixing bowls. So I've got a couple. This is a mixing bowl I've had more than 30 years. I don't know if it was a wedding gift or whatever, but I've had it forever. All the other pieces that came with it have long been broken. But I did retain this one. This is a pretty good sized mixing bowl that you could mix up your biscuits and things like that. I used that clear one because I wanted you to see what I was doing, but typically I would get out one this size. The other thing is these are a set of mixing bowls, and these are vintage. These were actually my grandma's. So I think the larger one might have been broken because I don't have it, but here's the largest one now. There's the next size, there's the next size, and then there's an even smaller one. So a nice set of mixing bowls, the variety of sizes like this, is a must-have. So if you don't have those things, young homemakers, put them on your wish list. So for my young homemakers, including my housewives and my housemen, you want to have these kinds of things on your list if you don't have them. Put them on a gift list. Now these little small clear ones I just use when I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. This is one that I just picked up just because I thought it was cute, but again, it's a medium-sized mixing bowl. Other things you want to make sure you have is a good measuring cup. Now this 2-cup measure is perfect, and it's really good when I need 2 cups of something, but you can always just have a regular set of mixing cups. You've got a 1-cup measure. This one is half cup measure, 1/3, and then 1/4. And I'll link these in the description box just in case. And then, of course, my old standby. This is a set of Tupperware measuring cups that I've had forever. I think a couple of them are missing. I did have a green set at one time, and I've also got this orange. I don't have a complete set, but they work just fine. If you see Tupperware at a thrift shop, pick it up. And then also, you want to have a nice biscuit cutter. This one, you've got 2 different sides. You could do donuts on this side, biscuits on that side, or you can also use it for cookies. Or if you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can always use a canning jar. As you saw, this makes the perfect size. And if you don't have a canning jar, a water glass will do. Perfect size. So if you think about it, it's almost the same size as this cookie cutter right here. So for more homemaking inspiration, click here. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying you are not done yet. Click on the link in the comment section below and check out another of my homemaking stories, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to visit us at www.aprondiva.com.